She woke up at 4 a.m. Not because she wanted to, but because if breakfast wasn't ready by 6 a.m., her mother-in-law would tell her son, "The woman you married is lazy. My mother woke at 3 a.m. But this one? She brings shame to our family." She cooked her mother-in-law's favorite meals. She washed her clothes by hand, even though they had a washing machine. She never raised her voice. She smiled through the insults. She ignored when people said her baby didn't look like her husband. She swallowed her pain like bitter medicine. For 3 years, she tried. And for 3 years, her mother-in-law found new reasons to hate her. Until one day, something changed. Not because her mother-in-law's heart softened, but because she remembered something her grandmother told her. She didn't stop talking. She didn't give up. But something deep inside her shifted. Because of what her grandmother told her that night. It wasn't just a story, it was a revelation. One that opened her eyes and changed everything about how she saw herself, her husband, and the battle she'd been fighting in silence. From that moment, her peace returned. Not because things got easier, but because she finally understood the truth behind the pain. Her mother-in-law had stormed out of her son's house in anger, and for 6 long months, there was silence. But when she finally returned, you won't believe what she came back to do. After watching this story to the end, you will never see love, patience, or peace the same way again. Subscribe to The Vigilant Parents, because what you're about to hear will stay with you long after it ends. Before I tell you what happened to her, you need to hear the folktale, because what our grandmothers knew, we keep forgetting. This is not just a story, this is a warning. And by the end, you will understand why some people can never be pleased, why trying harder only breaks you more, and why pouring water into a broken basket will never fill it. Let me tell you about Adana, and about a woman from long ago named Amara, because their stories are the same story. Adana married Chidi 4 years ago. She loved him deeply. He was kind to her, respectful. They laughed together. They dreamed together. The wedding was beautiful. She was educated. She had a good job. She came from a good family. By every measure, she was a good match. But there was one person who would never agree. Chidi's mother, Mama Chidi. From the very first day, before Adana even stepped into the house, Mama Chidi told the neighbors, "No woman will ever be good enough for my son." At first, Adana thought it was normal. Mothers protect their sons, right? She thought if she showed her respect, if she worked hard, if she proved her love for her son, she would be accepted. So Adana tried everything. She learned to cook all of Mama Chidi's dishes from her village, even though Adana came from a different place with different food. She woke before dawn to prepare breakfast. She called her mama with the deepest respect. She gave her money from her own salary every month. She bought her expensive gifts, cloth, shoes, jewelry. She never complained when Mama Chidi told her, "This soup is too salty." The next day, she made it with less salt. "Now it has no taste. You don't know how to cook." She never complained when Mama Chidi told guests, "Adana is too educated. She thinks she's better than us." So Adana quit her job. She stayed home. She focused only on being a good wife and daughter-in-law. But that wasn't enough either. Now Mama Chidi said, "She's lazy. She's not working. Just depending on my son's money. What kind of woman is this?" Then Adana got pregnant. She thought, "Surely now when I give her a grandchild, she will love me." But when Mama Chidi heard the news, she told the family, "She's trying to trap him with a baby. I knew she was that type." When the baby was born, a beautiful, healthy child, Mama Chidi came to the hospital. She looked at the baby for a long time. Then she said loudly, so the nurses could hear, "This baby is too light. Are we even sure it's his?" And through it all, Chidi said nothing. He would tell Adana later, when they were alone, "Just be patient. You know how my mother is. She's from the village. She doesn't mean it. It will get better with time." But it never got better. 3 years passed. 3 years of trying. 3 years of silence. 3 years of swallowing pain. 3 years of hoping. 3 years of believing that if she just sacrificed more, smiled wider, worked harder, it would be enough. But here's what she didn't understand yet. You cannot fill a basket that has holes. No matter how much water you pour, no matter how fast you run, no matter how hard you try, the basket was never meant to hold water. Then one night, broken and alone, she called her grandmother in the village. "Grandma," she whispered, "I don't know what else to do. Nothing I do is good enough. I'm so tired." Her grandmother was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "My child, let me tell you a story my grandmother told me, about a woman named Amara, and a basket that could never be filled. Long ago, in a village where the river met the forest, there lived a young woman named Amara. She had married Obina, the only son of a powerful woman named Mama Ngozi. Mama Ngozi had raised Obina alone after her husband died. Everyone knew she had given everything for her son, and she had promised herself, "No woman will ever take him from me." When Amara arrived as a new bride, the village women whispered, "That girl doesn't know what she's walking into." But Amara was young, hopeful, in love. She thought his mother would love her if she showed respect and worked hard. The first morning, Mama Ngozi woke Amara before the sun rose. "So, you call yourself a wife? Let me see if you're worthy of my son." She pointed to a huge water pot, as tall as Amara's waist. "Fill this pot from the river, but you must use this." She handed Amara a basket, a woven basket with holes. The other women in the compound gasped. Everyone knew it was impossible to carry water in a basket. The water would drain out before you took 10 steps. But Amara was young. She didn't want to fail on her first day. "I will try, Mama," she said respectfully. All day, Amara tried. She ran as fast as she could. She tried putting leaves in the basket to slow the leak. She tried carrying less water. She tried everything. By sunset, the pot was still empty. Her feet were bleeding. Her back was in pain. Her hands were torn from gripping the rough basket. Mama Ngozi stood over her, arms crossed, face cold. "Just as I thought. You're useless. My son deserves better." Obina watched his wife collapse in tears. He started to say something, then his mother looked at him, and he said nothing. That night, Obina came to Amara. "My mother is just testing you. Keep trying. Be patient. She'll accept you eventually." And because she loved him, she believed him. This became Amara's life. Impossible tasks, constant criticism, goals that kept moving. Nothing was ever enough, and Obina watched and said nothing. Then one year, the rains didn't come. The crops died. The rivers ran low. The village faced hunger. The elders called for the oldest, most sacred ritual. Each family must make an offering to the ancestors, and the ancestors would speak through the village oracle. On the night of the ritual, the oracle fell into a trance. Her body shook, her eyes rolled back, and when she spoke, it was not her voice anymore. It was the voice of the ancestors. "There is poison in this village. There is a woman whose heart is so bitter, so full of jealousy and cruelty, that it has angered us. Until this poison is removed, the rains will not fall. Your children will starve unless justice is restored." Everyone looked around. Who could it be? The oracle's finger pointed straight at Mama Ngozi. You have tortured your son's wife. You gave her impossible tasks to break her spirit. You never intended to accept her. You are jealous because your son loves someone other than you. Your bitterness has poisoned this land." "That's not true," Mama Ngozi shouted. "I only wanted to test her, to make sure she was strong enough for my son." "Lies! The ancestors see your heart. You gave her a basket to carry water, a basket with holes. You wanted her to fail. You wanted your son to see her as weak, as useless, so he would send her away. So you could keep him to yourself forever." The oracle turned to Obina. "And you are not a man. You are still a boy. You watch your wife suffer and do nothing. You tell her to be patient while your mother destroys her spirit. The ancestors ask you, who did you marry? Your wife or your mother?" Obina stood frozen. He had no answer. "Here is the judgment. Mama Ngozi, you must publicly apologize to Amara. You must wash her feet as she washed yours. You must serve her as she served you. And if you refuse, you will be banished from this village forever. And you, Obinna, you must choose. Stand with your wife and build your own home, away from your mother's control, or divorce your wife and remain your mother's son forever. You cannot have both. The rains will only return when balance is restored. Mama Ngozi was furious, humiliated, but the drought was real. People were hungry. Children were dying. She had no choice. In front of the entire village, she knelt. She washed Amara's feet. She apologized. "I'm sorry." But everyone could see her lips said the words, but her heart didn't mean them. She was only doing it because she was forced to. Then came Obinna's turn. He looked at his mother, then at his wife. For the first time in their marriage, he truly saw her. He saw the scars on her feet from running with the basket. He saw how thin she'd become. He saw the light that had died in her eyes. He saw what his silence had cost her. And something inside him broke. He walked to Amara, took her hand, turned to face his mother. "Mama, I love you. You raised me alone. You sacrificed everything for me. I know this, but you have been cruel to my wife, and I have been a coward for letting it happen. We will build our own home. You are my mother. You will always be welcome. But Amara is my wife, and she will be treated with respect in our house. If you cannot do that, then you cannot enter our home." Mama Ngozi's face went through many emotions. Shock, rage, betrayal, hurt. But finally, something else appeared. A crack in the wall she'd built. She saw that she was about to lose her son. Not to Amara, but to her own bitterness. That night, the rains came. "My child, do you see? You are Amara. Your mother-in-law is Mama Ngozi, and your husband, he is Obinna, who must choose." "But Grandma, I've tried everything. Nothing works." "That's because the basket has holes, my daughter. You cannot fill it no matter how much you pour. Some people don't want you to succeed. They want you to fail so they can feel powerful." "What should I do, Grandma?" "You stop carrying the basket. You stop trying to please someone who has already decided to hate you. And you give your husband a choice. Stand with you or lose you." Something changed in Adana that day. Not anger, not bitterness, just clarity. When she returned home, she didn't cry anymore. She didn't argue. She didn't beg. She just stopped trying. That evening, at dinner, Mama Chidi started her usual complaints. "This rice is too soft. Don't you know how to cook properly?" Adana put down her spoon, looked up, and said something she had never said before. "Mama, I have been respectful to you for 3 years. I have tried to please you, but I understand now. Nothing I do will ever be enough for you, so I will stop trying." Then she turned to her husband. "And you? I need you to make a choice. I am your wife. I have been patient. I have been silent. But I will not raise our child in a home where their mother is disrespected. So you decide. Are you married to me or to your mother?" The room was completely silent. No one moved. Mama Chidi began to speak. "How dare you?" But Chidi raised his hand. For the first time in their marriage, he interrupted his mother. "Mama, enough." Those 2 words changed everything. "Mama, Adana is right. She has been nothing but respectful to you. She has tried everything, but you have never given her a chance. Every time she tries, you find something wrong. Every time she succeeds, you move the goal. I have been a coward. I told myself I was keeping the peace, but the truth is, I was afraid of you, afraid to disappoint you, afraid to choose. But I'm choosing now. From today, things will change. This is Adana's home too. She will be treated with respect. If you cannot do that, Mama, then you cannot stay here." Mama Chidi's face changed. Shock, rage, betrayal. But then, something else. For the first time, she asked herself a question she'd been avoiding for 3 years. Why do I hate this woman so much? What has she actually done to me? The truth was painful. She was jealous. Jealous that her son loved someone else. Jealous that Adana had the education she never had. Jealous that her son was building a life that didn't center around her. That night, Mama Chidi left. She went back to her own house in the village. For the first time in 3 years, Adana slept peacefully. It took 6 months. 6 months of silence. 6 months of Mama Chidi sitting alone in her house, thinking about what her son had said. Then one day, she came back, not with demands, not with criticism, but with a gift for her grandchild, and an apology. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, and this time her eyes showed she meant it. Their relationship would never be perfect. There would still be hard days. But now, there were boundaries. Now, there was respect. And most importantly, now Adana had a husband who stood with her. There were still moments of tension. Old habits are hard to kill. Sometimes Mama Chidi would forget and raise her voice, and Adana would quietly remind her, "Mama, please, not in front of the child." And instead of shouting back, Mama Chidi would take a deep breath, close her eyes, and say softly, "You are right, my daughter. I am still learning." That small sentence, "I am still learning," healed more wounds than all the apologies she had ever given. Because true change does not shout, it whispers. It shows up slowly, in small, honest actions. Chidi kept his promise. He became a better man, not perfect, but present. He stopped hiding behind silence. He stopped saying, "You know how my mother is," and started saying, "Mama, please respect my wife." And every time he said that, Adana's heart grew lighter. She realized that love is not proven by how much pain you can endure. Love is proven when someone finally stands beside you. Months passed, and Adana's peace returned like a slow sunrise after a long storm. Her laughter filled the house again. Her child's giggles echoed in the compound. Neighbors who once pitied her now admired her quiet strength. One evening, while they all sat outside watching the sunset, the same orange glow that once marked the end of her painful days, Mama Chidi spoke again. "My daughter," she began, her voice softer than Adana had ever heard it. "I used to think that being a mother meant controlling my son, but now I know being a mother means letting him love freely, because love that is caged dies." Adana looked at her for a long time, then smiled gently. "Mama, we all learn in different seasons." That night, as the moon rose above the compound, Adana thought about her grandmother's story, about Amara, about the basket, about the ancestors who demanded justice. She smiled to herself, because she finally understood the real lesson. You cannot make someone love you by suffering for them. You cannot build peace by keeping quiet when you're bleeding inside. And you cannot carry water in a basket that was never meant to hold it. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to stop trying. And when you do, when you finally let go of proving your worth to those who refuse to see it, the right people will see you. The right hearts will understand you. And peace will find you. Just like it found Adana. Because the day she stopped trying was the day he finally saw her. So what did the ancestors teach us? What did our grandmothers know that we keep forgetting? Lesson 1. You cannot please someone who has decided to hate you. Carrying water in a basket is impossible. That's the point. Some people give you impossible tasks because they don't want you to win. They want you to fail so they can say, "See? I told you she wasn't good enough. Stop carrying the basket." Lesson 2. Silence is not peace. It's permission. In both stories, the husbands stayed silent, and their silence gave permission for the cruelty to continue. When you stay silent while someone you love is being hurt, you are choosing a side, and it's not theirs. Lesson 3. You teach people how to treat you. Adana thought that being patient, being kind, being respectful would change Mama Chidi's heart. But what it actually did was teach Mama Chidi that she could treat Adana any way she wanted without consequences. Boundaries are not disrespectful. They are necessary. Lesson 4. The right person will stand with you. When Chidi finally chose his wife, their marriage didn't end. It began. Because a partnership where one person is silent while the other suffers is not a marriage. It's a prison. Lesson 5. Sometimes walking away is the strongest thing you can do. Adana didn't leave, but she was ready to. And that readiness, that willingness to protect her peace even if it cost her everything, that's what changed everything. Because people only respect boundaries when they believe you will enforce them. Lesson 6. Healing takes time, and that's okay. Mama Chidi didn't change overnight. It took 6 months of sitting alone with her own bitterness before she could see the truth. Real transformation is slow. It's uncomfortable. But it's possible when people are willing to look at themselves honestly. Lesson 7. You are not responsible for other people's healing, but you are responsible for your own. Adana couldn't fix Mama Chidi. She couldn't force her to love her. She couldn't make Chidi see her. All she could do was stop breaking herself trying. And when she did, space opened up for healing to happen. This story is not just about Adana. It's about every woman who has ever tried to earn love by shrinking herself. It's about every man who has ever chosen comfort over courage. It's about every mother-in-law who has forgotten that love is not a competition. But most of all, it's about remembering what our ancestors knew, that justice delayed is not justice denied, that silence in the face of cruelty is complicity, that carrying water in a broken basket will never fill it, no matter how hard you try. The day Adana stopped trying was not the day she gave up, it was the day she chose herself, and in choosing herself, she gave everyone around her the chance to choose better too. Some did, some didn't, but either way, she was free. Because peace doesn't come from being perfect. It doesn't come from working harder. It doesn't come from proving your worth to people who have already decided you have none. Peace comes when you finally understand you are enough. You have always been enough. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve access to your heart. So if you are carrying a basket with holes, if you are pouring and nothing is ever enough, if you are breaking yourself trying to earn love that should be freely given, I want you to hear this. Stop carrying the basket. Put it down. Walk away. You were never meant to carry water in something that was designed to fail. The basket was the test. And the lesson was always this. Some things are impossible not because you're not strong enough, but because they were never meant to be done. And when you finally understand that, when you finally stop trying to fill what cannot be filled, that's when everything changes. Not because people suddenly see your worth, but because you finally do. And that, more than anything, is when the rains come. The day she stopped trying was the day he finally saw her. But more importantly, it was the day she finally saw herself. And that made all the difference.